stood up, so I stood up.
And the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We take moments of silence all day, every day. Roll call, please.
Drain Commissioner Christensen.
Present.
Road Commissioner Greenan.
Here.
Commissioner Ross. Here. Member Thompson.
Here.
And Member Warner.
Present.
All present.
Thanks, Allison. Okay, let's take a minute to look at the minutes.
Is Jerry going to be here?
I saw him earlier,
I know.
and
They're
he
short.
knows it's here.
Okay. I just-
Dwayne's okay.
I just know they're real short.
He has a good crew, though.
I'm short on hands.
Dave Schaub and Bill Calhoun were sitting there, so those are two solid
Yeah.
folks. And then Jordan seems to be right on top of things. Yeah,
Is
he's
he
really good.
related to Kiesel? Undersheriff Kiesel? Is that his last name, Jordan Kiesel?
Correct.
He's
A nephew?
Jen Grant's nephew.
Oh, Jennifer Grant's nephew.
But she's also related to Jen somehow.
It's a small county.
Gotta remember that.
We're all pretty well related. One way or another. Yeah, Dwayne Flaska had open heart surgery. It was a triple or a quadruple. And he'll be out for a while. But he made it through fine. Jerry talked to him yesterday. He was a bit groggy, but Jerry got him to laugh. So
Did he have an actual attack, or was this?
he's had heart issues apparently with, is it a pacemaker?
Oh, it's genetic.
Man, you would never guess that looking at the guy. He'll bounce right back.
Yeah, so I think he had a pacemaker that's been replaced several times and all that kind of stuff, and luckily they caught it and he went. So Jerry's scrambling. I talked to him this morning and he knew the meeting was happening, so I would kind of suspect that he'll fold in unless he's busy helping somebody figure out how to do something, so. Anyway.
Do you need a motion to approve these, or?
Sure.
I move to,
Are you going to do your
We
agenda
have-
first?
oh, that's right,
The
yeah,
agenda,
sorry.
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I would, approval of agenda, late additions or deletions. Yeah, John will probably speak to the Lake Association. He had a handout for CAMA. I had some copies of that. Then the hydraulic system update, I anticipated Richard being here.
I don't know if you got the information. I can run and ask for him.
That's fine, that's fine.
On Wednesday. He's usually here on Wednesdays.
Yeah, I thought I can pinch hit. Walkway, he also, Richard took a dive into the risk management stuff on the dam and walkway, so he's all over that, and actually went down with Jerry and took a close inspection. So he's really taken a lead on the risk management stuff, especially with parks and with Dam Authority. So I hope he walks in. But I can add in there too, I have some stuff on walkway. There's the Falling Waters land deal, and I probably didn't hand anything out last time, so I made some handouts. And then sensors and staff gauges, we can get an update there. And then procedures, we'll go ahead and tackle that one head on. It's time.
Louder, they're
They haven't
saying.
replaced them, they haven't replaced the mics yet, that's coming.
Oh,
Too
sorry.
End of the month.
I'll turn my hearing aids down. Then I'll yell. Ha! Ha! I catch grief for that all the time. I'm either yelling, put your hearing aids in, and then I'm talking too softly. Oh, well.
I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda.
Support?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have an agenda. Okay, now let's tackle those minutes again, keep reading.
I'll run and ask Lauren and, Richard might stop.
Thanks.
Steve Lauren said that he was supposed to be in at 10, so she sees how she was doing this.
I move to accept the minutes from Wednesday, April 17th, 2024 as presented.
Support?
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We have minutes. Okay. It's just down to public comment.
Hearing if I need. John Popa from Bingham. We got a very busy agenda here, and I'll be happy to help you while you're going through some of those subjects if you need to. I'm not representing the Lake Association. I see it's on the agenda, but there's still a concern out there that we don't have a procedure. The court gives the orders, for example, for the parameters and stuff, or where the level will be, but doesn't give any timeline. The procedure could put that in it. This year, we didn't have any ice, snow melt, rain, or nothing, and it took like 2 or 3 weeks to raise the lake. And that Jerry's doing his job, but if you have a procedure, it'll tell you what to do. And the dam authority has the job to maintain and build that dam and maintain the lake level. It's in black and white. And the only way they're gonna do it is to have a procedure and have someone take care of it and someone do it. There should be graphs referenced. the person to call, set up an email, something like that. So there still is a concern from everybody on the lake. And I know it's on the agenda, but I'll try being real quick. In your procedure, we don't have a piece of paper that someone can put their hands on. No place that's in the government center, you don't have it in front of you, and it's been that way for 20 years. You need a copy so that when you're gone and we're gone, everybody's gone, there's a way to do it. And I know you had some parameters when you started it, and that's good to put them in there. The other thing, and I was talking about, it'd be good to have an email account. And if you go to the county's websites and stuff, you can click on county clerk and you can type something. Someone usually gets back to you within an hour. Same with the road commission and whatever. You can set that up, your dam authority account. Gotta have somebody to call, someone to do it. You can't get a hold of Jerry, Steve's gone half the time, I get the phone calls. You gotta have a place, well, what's happening here and blah, blah. Something that these 1,200 members or anybody can do. And that's easy to set up. You should possibly also have your graphs on there. Right now, they're using a Lake Association graph, which is fine, we're here to help you. But this is a county-run thing, and the county should have all that information available to the public, so somebody from Timbuktu can look at that any place. And that could be on there, and that can be in that procedure. I got a real brilliant idea, and I got thinking about the Parks and Rec. In our budget on the Parks and Rec, we pay for so much, I mean, his name's Scotty's time, and we can pay Scotty, can we get that sign set up? So the Parks and Rec can tell somebody, what you could do here, and it's not that hard to do, is maybe have 5%, let's just use Jerry for example, of his time reports to the dam authority. Right now, Jerry reports to the administrator. Steve and him have a good rapport with Jerry, but Jerry should also report to the board. And I'm using him as, let's just call it a person. He should report to the board, even if it's for 5% of his time. This way, you can tell Jerry, can you do this and go do that and do this? Because it says the dam authority will maintain that level, and you aren't doing it. Not one of you has a key to the place, maybe you do, to go down there and lift that lever and do it. But if the dam authority is in charge of doing it, you should have, even if it's 5% of his time, which then they put his retirement on there and everything else, and computer time and all that, gets charged to the dam authority. That's my brilliant idea. A facility employee then can come in and report to you guys for that 5% of his time. Otherwise, he reports to the administrator. You can walk directly and tell him to do something, give him allocation of the wage out of the budget. He can then have to follow this procedure that you guys are going to eventually write. Answer the emails. So, like I said, when you send something to the clerk, somebody answers that within an hour, they usually get back. So if someone on the lake wants what's going on here, why is this sensor, you guys can go back and say, well, thing is shot, and yada, yada. Otherwise, they call Rick, they call me a lot. We got to improve that. Now, with regards to that procedure, it's 5 months. That thing can be written. I can sit with Rick and Garth, and we can write that thing, and then bring it back here. You can't write it as a group. That's micromanagement. We can get down, we can write this thing, and get the thing done, and then correct it as you go along. But you don't have a good piece of paper going on a half a year. And I know you got a busy agenda, but assign it to a couple people and we'll do it. And I'll be willing to help. End this week.
Thanks, John.
And if you want me for these others, I'm here to help you.
Okay. Any other public comment?
Apparently not.
Hearing none, seeing none, we can move on. Leelanau Lake Association discussion. I think John made reference to Lake Association. You're not here to represent them?
Well, if you have some questions, I can ask them, but I saw it on the agenda, Steve, and I didn't know what was going on.
Well, there several meetings in a row, someone was,
Jim Weisler and I usually came.
yeah, but what's her name?
Nancy Pope.
Nancy Popa was gonna come, and she was ill, then she was at a funeral, and then she never showed up, so I
Yeah,
don't
let's back
know.
up then 5 months, because the Lake Association had a big concern, Mr. Chairman, and they were gonna come here and, I guess, raise heck. And we wrote the letter, we had a task force, and they decided not to. After a month or two, they said, we think you're on the right path, we believe you, but they had this concern for a couple of years, are things going right, it gets back to the procedure, blah, blah, blah. And we said, no, I think, so they never wrote it, and Nancy didn't have to come. Jim and I will just sit and listen, but the concerns are still there, and we don't have anything new to bring unless you got a question. We've got a meeting tomorrow. I can go there and pass it on.
One
If
of
you don't want
the,
to discuss anything, that's fine.
one of the issues that Nancy and I talked about, and we believe we've handled it, was to put an article in their annual report that indicates who's responsible for controlling the lake level, because the many people around the lake access the Lake Association website for the historical information on the lake levels. And I wrote part of it. They broke it up and put it into the written document, and I think that satisfied some of the people in the Lake Association. They get calls about the lake level, and it's not their responsibility.
Correct, and as soon as you write that procedure and get it going good, I think that'll address their concerns. We never presented that letter. Why there is something else? I think you were on the right track, but again, it's been a while. So there's nothing more to discuss with the Lake Association. Got any questions, I can pass it on.
Any other comments?
I
Go ahead.
have one. I think that it would be a good idea, as John suggested, to have that information available also on the county website as far as the lake levels. If we could just get a feed where that pops into the website, check with the people that manage that, because it might alleviate a little bit of that concern about the Lake Association being contacted maybe more than they should be about the actual lake levels, since that is on the county.
I was thinking about you when I made that comment. That'd be a good one. You could get with IT or something and know maybe how to set up their website, and get with Rick on how we can get that graph put on that website, and then make a commitment here that says, we're gonna have an email there, and then you can click on that, and someone should answer that.
Chairman,
I know
Chairman,
it's just a person that.
just a thought, with the new website getting ready to get rolled out,
One day.
hopefully sooner than later, but that would be certainly something for that new site that we could develop and figure out how it would be maintained, but
A link to the Dam Authority.
yes, I mean, the Dam
And that would
Authority,
give
as
information.
it could have its own
Yeah.
section, that's where you guys could start putting all of that information that you've been
Well,
complaining
that would
about.
help the Lake Association's concern, like Rick said, we can call, have something there, and that's about the only big concern that's floating around.
Well, we've talked over time about, having,
Forever.
over 1,000 riparians. We certainly don't want over 1,000 riparians tying up anybody at the county building. That's not appropriate. So the Lake Association needs to appoint maybe a half a dozen people on the committee that is in charge of interfacing with Dam Authority. And one of those people would be doing an email check on sending an email maybe to the website, or making a phone call. And we've designated Rick to be our liaison with another person or two to feed data to Cal. So that is the avenue that the Lake Association needs to take, in my estimation, first, is to make contact with Rick and the people that are feeding data to Cal with regard to sensors. That's number one. If it's something beyond that, then maybe it's Rick makes the calls, or maybe it's a person that's designated to make calls. So we have a designated channel of communication. So it's not confusing and not scattergun, and it gets, you know, it just, I spend a lot of my day with, there's email work, there's phone work, there's site visits, and each one of those things, and paperwork, site visit write-ups, and that's just my job. And so how much of my day am I gonna spend on phone work and email work? Now, if I don't watch it, that's all I do. I could easily do just that, period. And I still wouldn't get it all done. And that's not having 1,000 people shooting an email to me.
Do you think there's gonna be 1,000 people call in? and
I'm just
ask why
saying-
is the water flowing over?
I'm just saying, John, there needs to be a procedure, and it's not for everybody to tie into, it's just for a certain number. And that way, the communication can be really smooth and everybody gets touched base when they should. It's not connected to one email, and I don't know, I
You
just,
put it in that procedure, how you want it done.
yeah, yeah,
And we can draft it up and
Yeah.
draw it, and, you gotta have something.
right, I agree.
I agree.
So, a question, do we not want to put the historical information of the lake level on the county website?
Why? Why not?
No, I'm asking the
Do
question.
we not, or do we want?
Do we
Yeah.
want it or not want it on the website?
More information
More
is the better.
information, I mean, education is what it's about, right? Or you're afraid it,
No, I don't mind fielding the calls. There won't be 1,000 people. There will be 4 or 5, 6 people. When I'm out and about in the area, I get questions face to face
Sure.
and on the phone. People that own property and either want the lake level higher or lower. So I don't think that's an issue, but I think this would be good once we have the new sensors, to have it on the website.
And that's where the Lake Association can help out, because in this little thing, it says if you got a question about the dam, the water, that's opposed to this thing. If you got a question about the sensors or why this is reading that, get a hold of Rick Thompson, he'll be
Yeah.
glad. And he's a Lake Association member, and he's the one designated now to watch the sensors. And that can be in that procedure, and then that'll save some of those thousands.
Yeah, many of the questions relate to just understanding what the graphs really mean and how we adjust it. So the procedure will help, but the phone calls aren't voluminous. They're a reasonable number at this time.
Yeah,
and the new website hopefully would have room to put a lot more information on it, so maybe it would even
Yeah.
lessen, so.
Do we have a tentative schedule for the new website?
Do we?
I'll find out. That's all I can tell you. I know it's been,
It's literally been since I started. a year
well,
and a
but
half
I
ago.
know that there's been training taking place. I'll just have to find out and I'll make sure it gets to Steve or somebody, but we probably need to get it out there anyway, so find
It
out what it
seems to be
is.
confusing as far as they seem to think they have brought over, migrated almost all of the information, and that seems to not have happened. So,
So. we'll
But
get
could
with
we
you.
make sure that that request is made to the IT department, that we have this information on the website?
Well, first of all, seeing how I got here late because I didn't have this on my calendar, that's my fault, but anyway, I'll have to figure out what it is you want on there. A history of the lake levels?
Well, maybe it'd be good
Well,
for,
I'll follow up with Steve,
Yeah.
what we need.
I-
Okay, is that okay? Or with you?
if we own this dam, we need to share information about it.
We own
It's
it.
time. Yes.
We
We own it,
definitely own it.
then it's our responsibility to communicate with the public.
Uh,
Absolutely.
correct.
No ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah, no, that's not debatable.
But it's not happening, and it's,
We'll get it there. Okay. I do know that when I looked at I had an opportunity to go visit the dam last week and look at a couple of things, and I know that he showed me the gauge down there and the sensor or whatever, but the lake level is where it's supposed to be in accordance to the court order, so it's in between that range, so that's pretty quick, so.
Anything else on the Lake Association, kind of from that
I didn't miss
viewpoint
much,
looking
did
this way?
I
I
didn't
just
miss
want to let
much.
everybody know I volunteered to do boat washing and shoreline assessments. So I'm getting trained on both, just as a public service. You know, my background in forestry, I think might be helpful to the group. So hopefully, they had a meeting yesterday at 4, which I couldn't attend, but hopefully they'll welcome my input. And again, that might be another bridge between the Leland Dam Authority, the owners of the dam, and the Lake Association, just in hopes that everyone is feeling comfortable about their roles and collaboration, so.
All right. I think that's it for number 1. That gets us to number 2, hydraulic system update.
Okay, as of last night, we do have, the commission did approve our recommendation to go with and I'm sorry, I don't have all my stuff in here, the one vendor that was recommended to us by our engineer, not to exceed a spending limit of $17,000, which is much higher than the estimate, but we included in that estimate both what we believe the cost is going to be and any contingency that we had in there, so it's there. I do know that our engineer is working right now to get a formal quote, and then if it's within that range, I have authority to sign the document and get the work started, so.
How many thousand are you going to write here?
17, not to exceed 17. No,
I
it's,
think I estimated 20.
but it's much less, and we have 20 in there, but it's also some of the engineering firms, so we think we're well within a range. It's going to be closer to probably 14, between 14
Yeah.
and 15, so,
Machine went,
yeah, I can't remember all the names.
went directly to Michigan Fluid Power.
Yeah,
And
got the
they-
background
they-
information.
They went back and forth and had it nailed right down as to what was going to be done.
Yeah, but we don't have a
And
formal
how
quote.
much it was going to cost. And this was not a formal quote, but it was,
But-
Machine Pat felt very confident, and then we tacked on extra.
Yeah, well, and we recommended to waive the formal bidding process, and because of the expertise of the company that's going to be doing the repair is the one who put all the system in. So it just makes a better sense to continue to do with that. So it's not like it's going to happen all the time. So I will also get you an update when we think the work will start and once I have it. So I'll get that out to the board and or give it to Steve and he can get it out to the board once we have that finalized. So, but anyway, so we're ready to roll. And I'm going to walk right on down to the next one called Walkway.
Let's go to Walkway.
I'm now working on it. So that's my next project. And so I did get to look at the walkway and I've seen it and I have stuff. So I'll be working with Machine also to start putting together an RFP for that particular project to do that. And I did mention to the commission last night that I was going to continue to work with Machine because that'll be our engineering firm that is our expertise for the dam. And that way it's all tied together at all times. I don't, Ms. Ross, I don't think there was any argument with that, but that way we have one firm that we continually go back to and they do it on a per project basis and I'll get estimates and we'll bring it all back. So be prepared. We're going to be going with it and getting our RFP out. But what Jerry and I talked about is an idea of bidding it out with wood, all wood, just keeping it that way. But also if there is, and I'm not an expert on this, but there's the composite materials out there today that are much, much more attractive and I'm not, but we may want to get an alternative bid to see what that is. So at least we have something to compare it to. But of course, I will agree that the wood looks better and that kind of stuff. The one thing that I think Jerry and I agreed about, we're going to say that we want everything constructed as to code. I know that the the risk assessment thinks that, the railing ought to be up to 8 feet. Well, we're at code right now to the height. And why would you ruin something that all of a sudden people stand on that bridge and look at the waters and take their pictures into Fishtown? As long as we are to code, we'll be okay. So that's what we're going to be asking for. And of course, your risk management folks are going to say, we ought to do it this way. Well, if somebody wants to jump over the rail, I can't stop stupid. So, but I think we ought to just, that's not one thing we need to build, so, in my opinion, so, but we'll figure it out, so. Yeah. So I took care of that, so told them last night that was my next project, And they've got money, and the county has put money, has indicated in this year's budget that this is one of their high priorities. I would like to see the work get done put it out there so the work's done like in October after the tour season, so something like that, try to get it done, so that's my game plan. I don't have anything else to do right now, so I just that's today. Friday will be another question. Okay.
Yeah, when I made a request on budget, I had 86.6 in, that was without any, that was roof,
Yes.
and that was 20,000 hydraulic,
Yep.
and that was 38.8 plus 20%, 46.6 on walkway.
Yep.
One thing I will mention, though, Richard, we contacted Rusty Friedel, who was the project manager when the dam was constructed. He worked for Gerace at that time. He's now working for Fisher. And that's how we got 38.8. We ran it by him, and he has all of those documents, and he can make a real solid quote to get us in the ballpark. So as we move forward, we're going to want to make sure that Rusty sees this and he gets a bid in for us.
Well, we'll want to make sure that he's on the bid list,
Yep.
and that way they can put in a quote. Yeah, we'll just make sure that, yeah, why not?
Yeah, that's all they do. I mean, they
That's
do
fine.
other stuff too, but they do dam stuff, and
Well, no, that's a good source, so that when we're sending out the RFPs, we'll try to send them out to as many folks
make
as
sure
we
he
can.
gets one.
But
Perfect.
if you know of a particular list anybody knows a particular list that we ought to include on that, just let me know, and I'll make sure that Mitch knows also. But you'll see the RFP before we actually release it, so. And of course, the county's going to want to see it too, so we'll just follow that part of the process. Okay.
So when we started the walkway, risk management said, you better get that thing analyzed. So we did send it out to Spicer, and I think maybe this whole board has seen the Spicer report. I did make copies if you want to see it again, or I can't remember if I handed it out or not. But basically, it's twice what's needed for code. That's kind of the nuts and
And
bolts
that's
of it
fine.
as far as the underpinnings, the I-beams and the steel structure. So that part was done, and now we're being really proactive by putting new stuff in. It's very functional. Jerry keeps all the little tabs screwed down tight so we're not tripping and falling and that kind of thing.
Yeah, the other part of it is that, could you take what's there and recode it, but, trying to meet the environmental quality stuff and making sure nothing gets in the water or scrapings get in the water, it may be better just to replace it all. But we'll get, that's my next project, so.
Okay. Thanks, Richard. We appreciate that work.
I have a couple just quick comments. Just on the material, my personal opinion, I think most people would agree that regular wood probably fits the character of Fishtown.
Mhm.
Yeah, a lot better. And then from personal experience, that composite, obviously it's more expensive, but secondly, it's extremely slippery in the rain. I have a composite deck at my house, and I would say for safety, it's a little bit on the slick side. So just a couple comments on that.
Well, I mean, part of that bid process, if it has an alternative bid, we want to make sure that it it won't do this, this, and this.
Sure.
But I don't know what's out there, and I agree with you, it may not be worth doing, but
Yeah.
at least it's an informed decision at that point, and it may be beyond our limit. I would agree with you, if we can stay with wood, it's probably better wood today than it was however they treat the stuff, so.
Right.
We'll see.
The wood's the same.
But all we would, but I mean, how they treat it, maybe it lasts longer, I don't know.
It definitely lasts longer.
But the thing is, let's get an alternative, and if we think we want to do it and it meets what we want to have done, then fine, we can look at it. But if you don't ask, you don't know, so that's
Yep.
what we do. At least that's my thought today, and tomorrow that can change. So. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
No problem.
Might need one more set coming down this way.
Oh, nothing for Richard?
That's you and I share.
Okay.
Share.
Okay.
Yep, I got one.
I'm gonna be shy.
They're gonna share.
Maybe
Just the deed.
Drew and Rick can share, and then
They are.
we'll get some to Richard. And I was just shy on my copy, I wasn't thinking,
No, it's okay.
okay.
I can make more after this if y'all got enough.
Okay, so Falling Waters land deal. This actually was presented to me and Chet, and Tim and Nick Gonan, the surveyors were also in the room, and they presented this to us back in 2020. So it was right at the beginning of the pandemic, and the pandemic swallowed it. These folks basically hunkered down and made do with their lodge through the pandemic, which I think is amazing that they did it. It's a couple of young people, that Emily and Cooper Heston, and there's a letter to whom it may concern, March 28th of 24, and I'll let you kind of read through that. That's kind of encapsulating the situation.
So, again, Steve, what part of it is that we want to give up?
I was wanting to let them get through the letter, and then
Okay, well,
then
I'm
I'll
sorry,
answer
you had
that.
already.
This is,
You had already mentioned it all to me before.
yeah, I got copies to you already, right?
Well, no, you just told me about it.
Oh,
Details.
I was advised before you came on board that, no, he's gonna have way too much, he's not gonna want that on his plate. And then you said the other day, you're happy to have it on your plate, so here it comes.
Glutton for punishment.
Don't have to say
This little-
everything you know.
This little bit here must be.
I believe so.
Yeah.
So the long and the short of it. The long piece of paper survey from Nick Onan shows that little piece. It's the tip of a little peninsula, if you will, that sticks out from the lodge. The concrete piece that's on there is the sheet pile concrete that has our staff gauge on it for the dam. There's another survey piece, a shorter, smaller piece from Vicki Brown that shows the survey of the land we own that is underneath the dam. So that piece of concrete is also in that survey also. It gives you a reference point as to how this is a little ways away from what we own according to Vicki Brown, is that was the deal when we had to own the dam. When we went to work on it, we realized we didn't own it. So that survey came into play, and we got basically a quitclaim deed from both the restaurant and the lodge, so we could own that property, so we could fix the dam. This little piece is an historic survey that Onan has been able to research back and see that that little tiny piece, and it's labeled there on the main survey piece of paper, is 119 square feet, which is a pretty tiny piece. And it just happens to be that tip. And what also happens to be is that that tip is surrounded by a very old wooden seawall. These folks would like us to basically quitclaim deed that to them so they can fix that seawall around there. They have a builder, Richard Baldwin, working with them, and he's willing to go through and jump through the hurdles to get a grant to help them fix that seawall. And that seawall is also mentioned on every one of our triannual dam reports. They mention this as being there and having sediment come toward the dam, not as an issue that's dramatic or something we absolutely have to fix per se, but they do note that it's there. So this would be win-win, as far as I'm concerned, for the county to go forward with this quick claim deed. It would take a procedure. I'd lean on Richard's experience a little bit. I know that I have to shuffle his paper to Jennifer at the Register of Deeds and see if we can match up a little bit.
I've got to ask a couple questions here.
Shoot.
I guess what we're talking about, this little piece right there, right?
Yeah, it's not pictured very well on that. On this, it's pictured real well.
Okay, but I want to make sure I'm looking at the two same things. Okay?
That piece of concrete, Richard, is right here. And this little piece we're talking about is beyond what we already own.
I understand.
Yeah. As far as,
This is what ours right now within ours.
correct. We own right to that point.
Yeah.
We also happen to own this, but this is historic. And
That's the dam part of it.
it's not connected to the dam, it's connected to history.
And what I'm trying to say is that I want to look at this, and this is what I'm going to circle. Here's what we want to dispose of.
I mean, so.
No,
That's
The
not
only
it.
No.
weird thing
no. See,
Where's their,
I'm trying to look at it. If anyone else needs to look at it, they
Okay.
can.
We're talking.
This piece of concrete is this piece.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we want to get rid of this, that's way out here.
We want to get this out of here.
This is what.
This is
we
the south,
need in a-
south wall.
Yeah, it's not contiguous with,
It's not contiguous to this, it's sticking out in the breeze.
Well, I gotta go
Just
look at
that.
it again, but no, that's fine. I want to make sure I know what I'm.
Yeah, it
Because
does.
I saw where, when I was out there, I saw where the wooden
Staff
wall
gate.
was, it was, where the wooden wall was, here coming off of the edge of the concrete needs to be.
Yeah.
where's the?
That's what, that needs to be fixed, well, it's your system, it's not ours. Whatever.
Yeah.
I just need to see what it is, so I'm saying, so it's this that you want to get.
Yes.
Dispose of.
Correct.
Okay, I just gotta get more, my eyeballs.
There's 40.
I can't see wallpaper on those walls.
That's fine, you have one. You have one.
Oh, that's right.
So what is the problem with the register of deeds, or what do you,
We
that's
got
your
it. Well,
next step?
See, this, Nick Onan has
Is this-
records
is
from
this theirs already?
Pete Onan, his dad, who was a way back surveyor and happens to have the history of that piece being inadvertently part of what the county owns. And
This part?
I just need to have Jennifer verify it.
Okay.
Is,
So that's the next
is
step.
my, that's, that's what I would, I guess what I'm leaning on this group is if it makes sense to this group to move forward and see if we can quit claim and get rid of this little piece and have them fix that break wall,
And what's,
Steve, so this piece, I mean, this piece is actually owned by the county. The Dam Authority doesn't own that property, the county owns it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the Dam Authority owns anything.
I don't think they do.
No.
Yeah, I think it's all county property, so it would be up to the county, it would be up to county procedures in terms
Well,
of.
we'll have to go through, through the process with the county.
Yeah.
I guess.
Corporate will have to look at it.
Everybody will have to work at it. But
Jennifer's gonna have to verify that this, and there might be, I might have to have Nick
I
and
yellow,
Ramon
I'm
on.
putting mine in the yellow, so I can, that's what you're telling me.
So Steve.
We might have to meet with Jennifer's office just to track this thing down. It's kind of an odd thing.
Yeah, it is an odd piece.
whole thing.
Obviously, if the county doesn't dispose of it,
Right now.
transfer it, then they're gonna be responsible.
We're gonna be
for
responsible for it, that's correct. And if somebody else is willing to take it and we don't need it for the operation of the dam, it may make perfectly good sense. I mean, but I think what Jerry is looking for, this board's permission to start that process. So we'll have to go to the county board to make sure they're okay with this. It's probably not gonna happen in 30 days. I mean, I'm talking about getting it all done, but does it make sense to this board to say, county, we think you ought to look into this and dispose of it? We'll be glad to run it through the process, but I think that's what you're trying to get to, Jerry. And we have someone who's willing to take it and do the repair.
And it's really upriver from the dam itself.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
Yeah,
not-
so-
More explanation we'll have to go through and maybe have more visual, maybe have a photograph of it or something put up in the packet, but all that can be done if this board thinks it's something that's an idea that should be pursued.
So Steve, you're looking for a recommendation from the board to move this to the county board
And proceed.
and proceed with
Yeah.
this process of
Yeah.
disposing of this property, transferring of the property.
Yeah, I entertain.
To investigate the disposal of this property to a willing buyer, so.
Yeah.
I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that, that this board recommends to the county board the investigation and or transfer of this property to a willing buyer,
Good
in the
enough.
best interest of the county.
Good enough. So that's what we're doing, because it's up to the county board in the end, but you're saying, go look at it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's second?
Me.
Further discussion?
So it's not, okay, so let's say, but they don't get a grant and they don't fix it and it fails. Is that going to be detrimental to our dam? I mean,
It would mean a small amount of sediment would flow
continue
toward
to-
the dam, and as it is right now, all of the sediment for the entire Carp River flows to the
Towards
dam.
the-
So
It's-
this,
So that piece
this,
is
this bit
is
would be an infinitesimal
Okay.
amount of the total sediment that heads to the dam.
Okay,
It's really cosmetic.
okay.
And it's
Yeah.
more to their benefit than to our benefit per se. It's just a little tiny thing, and if they just don't know, if they want to do something, they don't know what to do, they would just as soon do the whole thing. But if that's not the case, then they have to truncate, and then that would leave a little piece, I don't know. It's just, if you go over there and stand there, it all looks like theirs.
Yeah.
And, they have people traipsing around, they try to keep people off, but they can't, everybody and all that kind of thing, and I don't know, it just,
It just would be kind of fun to figure out from historic why it was saved. There's got to be a reason why.
I know why it was taken. Listed as plats, the plots like lot 30 and lot 40 and lot 50. And I have that whole folder, and let's just use the word lot 30. That lot then at one time went under the ownership of the county through the past acquiring of deeds. And lo and behold, that lot 30 covers this area, and the only thing the county bought then was this little area, and this little chunk was left out. So it goes back to something like the turn of the century or when Leland was platted,
Okay.
and it shows up there. And it showed, is it 30 or something? I can't remember.
Were you sitting there too, John? Were you there at that meeting?
I was.
Were you? Yeah. That makes
And then I
sense.
talked to the owners about it. There's also, Steve might have mentioned it, there's also, it showed up in some reports that there's a chance of getting erosion behind this dam. You know, we got sheet piles and concrete and everything. But this is unprotected stuff, and it's the benefit of the county to have this guy fix it.
And fix it well.
Yeah, I think he plans on putting sheet piling or something, I don't know. And he fixed it. I don't know if it popped up on insurance concern or that high level flood risk thing, but it showed that, you know, you still don't have this protected. There's dirt from,
The other thing is that this will owner, whatever we're gonna do, we're gonna wanna have some sort of guarantees that they are gonna do what they say they're gonna do.
That's what I'm
In
thinking.
a reasonable amount of time or revert it back, because it's still our responsibility in some way, so. But if we can figure out, that's all we can figure out going down,
Okay.
as we go down the path. Right, I got two things to work on.
Keep the list open free here.
Stick around. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, Nick and Tim can explain that.
Okay.
Similar to what John just said. Anyway, I think we're there. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have a land deal.
Well,
Okay. Sensors and staff gauges.
We are waiting for delivery from Hydromet for the new sensor. Don't have a delivery date from them yet. I didn't realize until the order was placed that they design and make those after they get ordered. It's not an off-the-shelf kind of thing. So, but they said about 3 weeks. We're a week and a half, 2 weeks into it. So hopefully within the next 2 weeks, we should have the gauge. Cal said he would help us install and calibrate the system. And this is for the dam electronic sensor.
That, yeah, I've got a piece of paper in my hand. And that, I think what we did with this is we got a ballpark for the last meeting and we gave the go-ahead.
Yeah, it was a $2,000 not to exceed, and they're below that.
Yeah.
So I will give them a call. I have a contact there. Miles Corcoran is the gentleman, the sales contact. I left him a message just checking to see if he has a date for the actual delivery. Once we get it, we'll put it in and calibrate it and go from there.
Excellent, excellent. That's what I wanted to hear. After John and Rick played with that unit and dried it out and did everything they could, it settled down. It was being really weird for a while. And looking at the graphs, it has settled down and gives us a representation of what's going on there, which is really good. And I was hoping that you were going to say that because I was thinking, okay, I know where Jerry said it's at, and this is a little off. So we'll be able to wheel that in. And I don't know, did everybody take a look this morning at what it looked like?
Yep.
Okay, explain it to me.
Wind.
The only explanation that I would guess at is that the wind changed drastically this morning. I happened to be up early, and the winds were coming, I think they were out of the northwest early. And in a matter, there was about a 20-minute period where they changed 90 degrees. And the wind blew hard, and then it changed back. So it pushes the water around. How that gets registered on the short time on the graph looks bad. But I think it's real.
okay, we just run with the average.
Yeah.
Well, we've got this lake
Yeah.
that it's huge, so
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's,
and
it's
it-
just what we have.
Yeah, and I
There's
think,
nothing to,
seeing that and understanding what it was, puts a good flavor in what you're looking at when you look at those sensors. You know, when you see a sensor reading that says such and such, it's not just this, it's also pressure, it's also wind, it's also why is there variability, and anyway, excellent.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, you know, one thing we might consider in the website is doing some sort of smoothing or averaging on the daily data, so it's easier for people to perceive, you know, it doesn't get thrown off by a rainfall or a, you know, few hours of really strong wind. It'll give a more realistic view of what's happening with the lake, so.
Take the noise, take the noise out.
Take the noise out. So at some point, when we get this on a website and get the data in, we have some time or some ability of somebody to work on an averaging algorithm for the elevations, then it might be good to do.
Good suggestion. Cal talked about that, and I think Dave Fisher has the mathematics to play with the electronics to come up with a 3-hour, a 6-hour, an 8-hour average rather than the instantaneous readings. So we'll get educated a little bit more about what's possible. And to put this on the website for the county electronically is not difficult. They assure me that they can do that very easily.
We'll do that. I would like, you know, I'm thinking if you're trying to do it in some measurement, if there's a way they could do it in 12-hour increments, like from, you know, midnight to noon, and then on average, you know, what happens in that average 12 hours? You know, I don't know, you know.
Currently, they have a trend line,
Yeah,
but the trend line is long-term. It takes, I think it's 30 days.
okay.
So,
Anyway, it's good to know that people that know how to do that kind of stuff are out there.
yep. Ooh, hard to read.
Yeah, very hard to read. I got it from Kama got it from John. I think it was a photo of a photo of a photo, so. But anyway, John made these comments earlier today, pretty much, and then I included those for everyone to have in their hip pocket. I think John's in a position to be able to synthesize, and he, you know, pretty much gets information and gets his ear chewed off and gnawed on a regular basis by a lot of folks. So I think what he says I appreciate, and we can kind of add those comments to our next procedures item.
I guess too, is it possible for us to come up with a working draft sooner than later? I mean, I feel like we've been talking about this since I've been on this. We're not close enough to get something a little more drafty, formal to get out there and just say that we are making progress. Right now, I mean, we have nothing to show for it, and John has alluded to that many times, and I tend to agree with him. I just feel like even if it's not perfect, draft on the top could at least get us in the public eye that we're working a little harder than they think we are.
The real question for me is who does what by when to control the lake level. And I think Jerry, in defense of taking a couple of weeks to bring the water level up for the summer, he started a week early.
Well, we had no rain.
And the watershed didn't necessarily cooperate. We can't change nature, but the written procedure should be, okay, do we start a week early to get the lake level up by 12 inches for
Or
the
say you
summer?
have how much snow did you have on the ground, which we had very little.
Right.
You know, so a combination of things.
Oh, that was a no, though, so.
You know, there's probably a procedure. It's all in Jerry's head. I got to get it out of his head and put it on a piece of paper.
Well, we've been doing some meetings, committee-wise. Garth, Rick, myself, and Jerry. And they've been posted, meeting room 2, and we've got it to a second or third iteration of generalities, and we've been squeezing Jerry pretty hard and getting a lot of information. And we got hijacked by the hydraulic system. The concerns from admin and from other people about dam failures and risk management, and the state of Michigan put another whole layer on top of all the dam procedures with regard to this, as far as failures go. And so that took over, and we addressed that, and today we finally put
Okay.
it to bed. and-
You work on that, I'll work on this.
Got it. So I guess we pick up where we left off. We've got John's comments, we've got quite a bit of information that we got in committee format. I'm willing to entertain any idea that can get us kind of closer to the finish point. I will say that when Pat Mashin listed the redundancies of the dam, I think he came up, it was either 7 or 8 redundancies. That dam can be run 8 different ways, including the manual. All we have to do is release the pressure, and that manual device that we had him design and install can very easily manipulate the dam. So we can manipulate that dam 8 different ways. Once this is done, the procedures of what you switch here and what you switch there to run pump A and cylinder B to run the dam, all of that will be provided to us in format, and we'll have this coming from our side, and we're getting there. It just, I mean, and I'll entertain.
Well, I don't think the
Procedure.
association, I'm just thinking, the association's not gonna care which pump you turn on, which one you turn off, and that's more for the internal workings. Probably what you have here. Okay, on week X in March is when we're gonna start doing X, and on week Y in October, we're gonna do this, so we can get through winter. I think that's the procedures, Tom, and that's what people wanna know. When are you gonna start putting the lake level back up, or when do you plan to lower it? Am I getting, that's the main thing, and when,
The operating one is Jerry's saying, but you're right, you need a lake level procedure. How are we controlling the lake?
I think that's the big question.
It is.
And when do you start
Gate
something?
up right away in the spring, so no water goes off, and when it reaches that level in 2 days, and start.
And part of that depends on what kind of snow melt, what kind of snow level do we have out there? That makes one difference versus if you have none. You're gonna start sooner rather than later, to get the rain, so. And I'm a person that didn't know anything. All I know is what I saw happen in Colorado. They begged for that snow melt. They begged, or else all that water down in Denver, they weren't gonna have any water. And it was amazing what they did when I would watch it or read about it when I was out there, and it's going, man, these people rely upon that, and they start, if there's not enough snow up there on the top, they are starting real early to sort of to put gates in their dams so they can catch anything they can catch. So that snow for the winter is a big thing there, so. I think that's, when you're gonna start on both ends, to lower it and to raise it, and under what conditions?
Yeah, that's, it's something we do need to address.
Mhm.
And we have the court order.
Yeah.
And in the court order, on a certain day, it goes from here to here.
Yeah.
And on a certain day, it goes from here to here,
Mm-hmm.
period. So the practicality is where we have to put some things on paper. And
Mhm.
once we do that,
And it's
We
a
can-
floating document, because one year it may be perfect this way, and the next year it may be overkill, who knows?
we just have to put enough detail in to give the person that's actually pulling the levers enough of an idea that they can make logical decisions. This spring, Jerry and I were talking in March, the end of March, And of course, we didn't have any ice. We also didn't have any snowpack. We also had a very dry spring. So, there was no mystery there. The only question is, when do we start? And so we started 2 weeks early.
And that's what,
And gradually got it to creep up, and by the time we hit close, Jerry had that set so there was a trickle going over. It wasn't total stop, but it was a trickle going over. And it took 2.5, 3 weeks beyond that date, April 15th, to get to where we needed to be. And Mother Nature gave us just a little squirt toward the end of that 3 weeks, and we got there. So it was a matter of, we started really early. Just didn't have any water in the system. But thankfully, it did come up, and within, what were we, 2.5 weeks, Jared? So we're 2.5 weeks after the 15th is when we were at summer level, but we were pretty darn close on the 15th. We just had to get that last bit. So, I mean, that's the kind of thing that we have to have on paper so that the next person can say, okay, and this year it was dry, and this factor, this, so we have to start early.
and I think that's where, what's in his head and how he does it's got to get on a piece of paper. So the Lake Association, here's our plan. If these conditions are here, we'll do it this way. If these conditions are here, we'll look this way. But we are watching, starting from March 1st going on, we're watching, what do we got to do to be ready by X date? I mean, they would just want assurance that we're doing it, we're paying attention, I think, but put it on paper. It would have in his head, we got to get it out of his head.
Yeah, we would have been a month out or more
And there's more
if there
stuff
had
in
been
that
any
thing.
ice. If there had been any ice to wait for,
Mhm.
we would have been a month out. And there was a year, I don't know what year it was, Jared, maybe 10 years ago, we had a very dry situation and ice. So we couldn't even start until the ice was gone.
But,
we
and those
were-
are things that you got to put on
We
a
were
piece
a
of
month,
paper so
we
the
were a
public
month
knows.
and a half out, so it was,
I think it's a thing that the public wants to know, so we realize it, here's where our conditions are, here's how we plan to deal with it, but no, we know we gotta get the lake level up fast.
So do we have a date, a target date we're looking at
what do we do now?
to get it written? I don't
Get it
know.
written.
Yeah, I just
I
feel
agree.
like we need to,
Do we have another
to give a,
meeting
make a
scheduled?
goal for ourselves.
Okay, we don't have
Nope.
another meeting scheduled. We have a committee. It's Garth, Rick, me, and Jerry. I'm willing to, right now, I can't do it. Cameron, you want to fill in for me?
I'll try, but I don't know if I.
Are you
I can
busy?
try.
Do
No,
you have
well,
anything to do?
I can make time, but I just don't know if I'm the most valuable person on the team, but I definitely help get the thing written.
You're a wordsmither, and you can
I'm a doer.
maybe combine with Garth and Rick and Jerry. Does this make sense to have a committee meeting or two between now and the next Dam Authority meeting?
When is the next Dam Authority
We
meeting generally?
get to set it.
But generally, what did we do last year?
We
missed
tried to
July,
do
right?
quarterlies, but when the hydraulic system hit us between the eyes, we went as needed. So I think we're kind of still in as needed. We do have the summer season.
Let's shoot for for a meeting. Jerry, at the end of June, think you can help with the committee to get something in writing by the end of June, and they could set some meeting time with you to work on that?
I appreciate that. The only issue with, if I may interject, with setting certain times and dates, that there are people that will carry that to you in your face and say, it states here that you are going to do such and such at certain dates. And if you lock yourself into that situation,
Well,
it becomes more finger pointing, okay, on certain things. I'm just saying,
I understand.
you said on, April 6th, you're gonna, and there's so many variables, I don't know how you want to.
Yeah, that's how we need to write that, so you're not locked in, but you understand that you do have an obligation that by this date to hear, and that you'll keep everyone updated, but y'all can write that out.
Yeah, we'll just be, good point, Jerry. We need to word it properly.
Yeah.
We need to word it that, you know, we are looking at these parameters at this point in time.
People, what's going on, and I can fall back on the quarter and say, here it is, but then you have part B, locking in a certain time without the proper wording, and you get those folks that you don't need to do that.
But they want, yeah.
Let's pick a time to get together.
We're looking at mid-June or early June, or what?
Is this for the committee? or-
Committee.
Okay.
Committee.
But I think it should be early June if it's a committee meeting.
How about the week of the 3rd?
Sure.
Jerry, your schedule for the first week in June, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
Oh, wide open.
Mornings, those 3 days are good for me, 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
On the 4th, on Tuesday, I've got road commission meeting in the morning.
Monday would work for me.
What time? 10?
Can we do it at 9?
9's better.
Okay.
Do you want this?
Jerry, does that work for you?
Do we need you? or-
No.
Monday, the
I
9th?
don't need to back you.
Monday, the 3rd.
Monday, the 3rd?
Any room? 9 a.m.?
Sure.
Yeah, Jerry's good. Can, so we have a quorum. Yeah, be good. And then, can you be there taking notes?
So we have to because we have a
Do we have to
quorum?
do notes for the committee?
Not for your committee.
Well, then I won't come. That makes it easier.
Well, we've been doing this.
We've only had 2 members.
Oh, it's just you and me, Garth?
Yeah,
Right,
and Jerry
Oh, I see. I had
and
Rick
John
included.
usually.
John, 3 or 4 of us, but
Okay.
we didn't have a forum.
Yeah,
So you could have this meeting anytime you want at anybody's house, right?
No, we can't do that.
As long as there's just 2 of you.
No, well, you can chat, but we can't have a meeting that way, but, so do we want to modify, I
I
messed
don't
up,
need
I'm
to be a
sorry.
part of it. Rick, if you're interested and want to,
Yeah, that would
Okay,
be
so
fine with
it's
me.
you two, Jerry.
Okay.
And John, if he can make it.
Okay, all right. And you
That's
will,
not a quorum,
and John,
so-
you will meet in this building. We'll get you a room.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
you
so we
will
have a
meet
new
in this
committee.
building, not at somebody's house.
It's Garth and Rick and Jerry on the 3rd at 9 a.m., ideally in that little room there. And we don't have a quorum, so we don't need minutes.
Right.
But we have a committee, and it'll be posted.
and then let's set a date for us to meet again to review it, right?
Okay.
I would
We've
say
got a
early.
committee.
You're going to post it? We're going to post this. We didn't post any of the other ones.
Let's not. Okay, we don't have to, let's not. Okay,
If it's not a quorum, you don't have to,
well,
correct?
it's just a working committee.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay, okay.
And
Got
we're
it.
meeting where? Okay,
They call it meeting room 2.
okay.
Okay, so now we're looking at the next dam authority.
Can I wait and see when an RFP will be completed? Let me get, and I will work with you on that one, sir. I want to make sure that you get
We
with
can
Mitch
get
and
that
see
in the
what
meeting
his,
also.
yeah, so for that, so you're not having to meet, have a special meeting when he has an RFP ready or something. If you don't need to meet in June or early July, if you don't mind,
No?
okay, we can do it.
When is your sayonara?
Never.
When do you?
Well, that's always an open question. I know how long my contract's for, but it can be extended if it's necessary, so.
When is that?
August 1st.
August, July 31st is the end, but, you know, it's They know that I'm gonna be around until the next person is here, so whenever
So-
that happens.
So we're looking at a meeting in July? Is that what we're looking at?
I would, what I'll push, if
How
you
about
don't
towards the
mind,
end of July?
so that, we can pick sometime on the the week of July 8th. If you like doing them on Wednesday mornings, that way I can ask, when I get a quote and all that's kind of things, that if I can get him to give us an RFP ready to go for the boardwalk, you can look at it and move it forward.
I've got department heads that day.
Let's go the next week. I think.
Is that-
Yeah.
Okay, the 17th,
Yeah.
it's up to you.
17th works.
No, sir, I'll still be here. I can change the department head meeting. No, it's okay.
17th makes sense?
10 a.m. if the room's available?
It'll be this room.
Yep.
10 o'clock.
10 a.m.
Does it work? Yep.
17th?
17th at 10 a.m. here.
And hopefully the subcommittee could get us your, whatever you figured out before that, so we can
The
have a good
working,
discussion.
yeah, the working committee,
It keeps going
You can-
until they got
you
a
can-
draft.
grab Allison at the end of your first working meeting if you think you want one more, and grab a different day in the future, and she can
Okay.
help you set up that room for it.
Very keen.
And Jerry. Now, Rick, I think, and Garth, we scribbled and I scribbled and I passed it out. And do you have that sheet that has the scribbling on
I
it?
think so, yeah.
Yeah,
I think so. I think I handed that out last time.
you did. Yeah.
So that's like 2 or 3 iterations in, so we're close on that part of it.
Yeah,
And then with the list that John put out, and John will be there too. And I think we can probably get most of the points that have been touched on association on our side, as far as when do we look at what, so.
yeah. Yeah, I think we're pretty close to that. I mean, we've got it sketched out in that draft that we've already done,
Right.
that was handed out at the last meeting.
Yeah.
And now it's just refining it a little bit in terms of adding some variability in order to meet those standards based on the weather.
We're really talking about the procedure to control the water level, not the operation of the dam itself.
Yeah.
Who does what by when?
Mhm.
Okay.
And the other one, as part of the agreement with this vendor that hopefully we'll get in, updated manuals and training is also going to be included in that, was also included in that bid. And then it'll be up to the staff to have all the operating manuals on site. So that's all been included in that price. So
Yeah, so that'll just fold in.
that just
Yeah.
holds in the
stock.
maintenance department.
The overall
Yes.
document.
Yeah, do some thought on format of finished product and where it would be. The clerk could have one, Jerry would have one, Dam Authority would have one, so there'd be a
It could be posted on the website.
multiple
That's what I'm
locations, sure, and so that, yeah. Oh, one thing I wanted to say too, and I don't know, everybody saw it, but part of the deal with Machine Engineering with regard to working with Michigan Fluid Power is there's money in that agreement that includes Machine Engineering working with them to install it. They're basically there to make sure that they're
Yeah.
doing it properly. It's part of,
So that's not part of the bid.
correct,
that's
it's not that,
It's
yeah,
not part of
it's
the
a separate,
17,000.
it's a separate, right, it's separate from that, but it's there, and it's very important, not just to hire this company to do something, but we've hired an engineer that's in-house, that's gonna mother hen it, and he's there for us to make sure that's done properly, and it's worth every penny.
It will be because I won't approve any payment unless Machine Engineering signs off on it that it's been installed to the standards that we expect.
Sure.
So that's just our gut check to do that, and Jerry will be part of it too, so it's okay.
That's why we have that there. That's why we have that entity.
That's right.
Very,
And,
very,
the
very
part of with Machine, what the original engineering cost was gonna be to write RFP, it was probably, we have $4,000 in there for that, but he doesn't think they're gonna need the $4,000. You know, he just covered his bases. But there's gonna be some money left over from the original agreement to do this work. And we'll see how we can apply that toward to do the boardwalk work. So we just see how we can play it to get that task done in October, so. Keep it moving.
Sounds good.
perfect. Did I hand this out last time?
What is it?
I've seen it.
Watershed?
Oh, yeah. Actually, I think we have it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. we did.
Did I?
Yeah.
I think so.
You guys all have it? Richard?
You probably gave it to me, it's in my file.
You don't need to have this added to the meeting, though, do you? For the website.
But I did already hand that
I
out.
believe so. I think it was in one of the last ones.
I didn't get one.
The only thing now, John, you put this together. It shows our watershed map, and John has a sticky on there that gives the watershed total, then it gives the acreage, these are all acres. Acreage of lake, acreage of South Lake, acreage of North Lake. What's not broken out is the acreage of the watershed, north versus south. So you can see, if you compare South Lake, okay, 2,900 acres, I'm sorry, 5,600 acres, North Lake, 2,900 acres. So there, that gives you a comparison, but it's not the same comparison when you're looking at the watershed. The watershed for South Lake is more than 3/4 of the watershed for Lake Leelanau. So when we have a large event, especially one that's on the South Lake, it takes forever for that water to work its way to the dam. You can see the tail of the watershed curls up really close to Lime Lake. And then it runs down through Cedar and then back up to get to the dam. So anyway, having that on the website and having a little blurb on that also would be beneficial anyway. Any further comment on procedures?
Nope.
We've got a meeting, we've got a committee meeting, we have Dam Authority meeting. I think it gets us to the next item, public comment. Who are you? State your name.
I'm from Bingham. My name is John Popa. That walkway, I got a big folder on that. Remember when we looked into it about 3 years ago? One thing we're missing, and we gotta make sure that it's on here, on that new walkway. We gotta have those sections lifted up so Jerry, in time, whenever we're gonna be able to put the boards in there. There's no way to get those boards in, which I'm gonna get to. So in that design that I came up with and stuff, all we had is just make sure that we go out for bids, that this section is removable for future board replacement. We got the boards all cut, posts are all ready, except we don't have those sides put in. I think, if I owned this dam, that's the first thing I would do is get those 2 angle iron sides put in. It's an underwater job, and we were gonna do it when we dewatered the dam. Well, let's wait until then, and we'll hire that contractor, we're gonna dewater the dam, and at that time, let's put those side things. I don't think we should wait for that. It was overlooked when we built the dam and we brought it up, this dam to dewater it. Richard, is you got posts that you gotta put in and boards to put in between the posts, but there's no angle iron on the side to the concrete, and those two can't be put in. So all we gotta do is design this walkway so that there's a lift up portion there, right, Jerry? It was like right there, you and I looked at it, these boards or this angle iron can be lifted up so that we can de-water it. Otherwise, you can't do it. So I'm just saying, when we make sure to go out the bid for this walkway, that it includes a lift out. I'm gonna just go back to a little bit about that procedure, Mr. Lewis, because you weren't here. One brilliant recommendation I came up with is,
Really?
it's really brilliant.
If he
Really?
says
Like in
so.
Parks and Rec, and you were busy before you came here, in the Parks and Rec, we have a portion of their.
Well, you're supposed to be, if you want to talk to me, you can. We'll do this on the side.
I already
Other than that, it's
did.
public.
Yeah.
Well, you and I can do this on the side.
Thank you.
And
We'll do this on the side. Public comment is here, not to me.
We got
You're out of time, John.
3 minutes?
It's been way over 3
Okay.
minutes.
it.
John, you and I can talk about that on
All
the
right,
side.
we will.
Appreciate that, and, yeah.
Okay.
Any other public comment? Commissioner comments?
I'd just like to share that, after our last meeting, we were talking about the Leelanau Lake Association having an article out, which they did. And so then Zach at the newspaper, at the Enterprise, did an article. I don't know if anyone saw it. He interviewed Rick and then Steve Hamilton, who's a wild wetland biologist. I don't think it did great things, but I think it was a good attempt. But I think it's a reminder that Zach at the paper has a keen interest in this. So I think we should use him when we feel there's something newsworthy. He seems to want to get it right too. So the other thing is the Conservancy is doing a executive director paddle on the Cedar River Preserve. I went last year. And it was just really a good interaction with a ton of people that care about Lake Leelanau, and especially from that section of lower Lake Leelanau. I can't go because it's on Friday, the 31st at 10 a.m., and we'll be doing interviews for Richard's replacement. But I would really encourage anyone, if you can go. It was really, I think it was well worth my time talking as a Leland Dam Authority member to a lot of people that care and have a keen interest in learning more about it. So there were probably 40 kayaks, maybe even more, 50 people. So anyways, just an opportunity to get our concerns shared with the public. That's all.
Any other?
Nothing,
Commissioner comments? I have a folder that I'll bring next time if I can be at that meeting, but I might be in the orchard. But Rusty Friedel put together a procedure for dewatering. And it's an underwater, it's a diver type thing that has to be done. So that whole procedure is in place, with or without the liftable part of the walkway. The divers will have to go down and they'll have to put the posts in. At the same time, they can put those side braces in, and those boards can be placed. All of that can be done from his folder, from what I recollect, underneath the walkway without lifting it up. So in my mind, it's not necessary to bid that thing out for liftable, removable plate pieces. And I don't know, I may be wrong, but that's what, I've got a folder that shows how we can do that.
Well, I would advise that both of you that have any information that you think is out there that would be prudent that for our engineer to look at, to evaluate and put all together, please pass them my way so that I can get it to Patrick as he starts to review it all. Your ideas, just whatever you have, just supply it to me. We'll start down that road. Okay?
That's great.
So, because you're all explaining this to me, I'm going, sure, you're lucky if I can handle a drill bit, so there you go.
Sure.
I'd entertain a motion.
Let's
A
adjourn.
movie adjourn.
Support, anybody support that?
You don't need a support,
You don't
actually.
need support, you just adjourn the meeting.
I realize, I'm being polite.
Let's support it.
We're adjourned.
Wow, that's done.